everybody, this is David Cox, and I'm going to be going over my tutorial, which I'm titling TRON Legacy style tutorial. And we're going to be making something kind of like what you're seeing here with this new TRON trailer. If I can get this thing out of the way a little bit. Essentially, it's just the little bokeh lights in the background with a little bit of reflective aspects and maybe a little title. I'm not actually going to put the grid in here like we did the last tutorial, if you've seen that. If not, you should check it out because it's a similar thing, but it's not necessary in order to do this tutorial. Alright, so let's get to it. We can just close this. Alright, we're going to make a new document, and it's going to be 1280 for the width and 960 for the height, all in pixels. And then 72 doesn't really matter so much. Alright, now the first thing I did here was just to invert everything to black with Control I. After that, we're going to start setting up the brush that we're going to be using to make the bokeh lights, or bokeh. I'm not really sure how you pronounce it, or if it matters for that matter. So we won't worry so much about that. If you know how to say it, good for you. If not, you're just like, probably, I don't know, a good portion of the people out there, like myself. So, alright, so I'll get my brush up here, and I'll just start customizing it like you can see in the written tutorial. I'll try and say stuff out loud, though, so you don't actually have to be reading it in order to follow along. Alright, so the first thing, we'll go into brush shape. The fastest way to get there is to click on the 19, set the diameter to like 25. The spacing should be around 200%. Alright, shape dynamics, size jitter, we're going to put at 100%. Minimum diameter, just go ahead and leave that. Actually, I guess I can change the roundness jitter and the angle, both to 100. And then we go to scattering, and we're going to want to scatter these little lights out. We'll just put this about 500. And go ahead and keep the count at 1. And then we go down to other dynamics, and we can put these both down at 0. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is set up a line. It's going to be a guideline. If you don't have these already available, what you can do is just go up here to this little view extras area, and you can check show guides, show grids, or show rulers. I think you need to have rulers and guides up in order to see and to make the guide. Otherwise, I don't know if you can create it. If you can, just ignore me, because I don't know. But have these two checked, and just drag a line down about what you think looks about half the document. It doesn't have to be quite exact, but something around there. And actually, I'm just going to go out a little bit so I can kind of see what I'm doing a little bit better. So using the color white, the fastest way to get there is probably to hit D to get the default colors, and then X is to switch them, so you have white as your foreground. But we should make a new layer first before we even get to the brush. So just you hit Shift, Command, and or Control if you're on Windows, and that will make your new layer. And then you can title this one Big Bokeh or Bokeh, whatever we're deciding to call it. Yeah. Alright, and then in this layer we can fill it with black, so fill it, and then bring back my brush and make my line. There we go, that'll work. Alright, we're going to go to Filter, Lens Blur. Now, this is a really cool filter that Photoshop has. Probably the coolest blur that's out there that they've made. It is pretty awesome. So you can actually check it out. It's very diverse. What we're going to be using it is just to create sort of an easy bokeh effect, but it can be used also for faking sort of a depth of field with bokeh. If you ever have, a camera that, you've taken a picture and you want to just make it look, I don't know, a little bit more artsy, or if you just want to have another sort of a look that you don't think you have already, you can use it for that. But for this tutorial, we're not going to be going into too much detail with it. Just kind of know that the tools are there and that it is very nice, and it's, you can use it for a lot of really cool things. So what I'm going to be doing now is just kind of customizing this for my my little lights. So I'm going to set the radius to about 65, and I'm going to be using the octagon. Blade curvature, we can set that down to 0. What that will do is either make it harsher edges for these octagons, or like more rounded circle type things. The next setting is rotation. We'll set that around 150. And then after that, just leave brightness. We can take down to 0. Threshold up to 255. We don't need any noise for this, but that is kind of nice in case you want to give a little bit of grit to your images. But for this, it's Tron, and everything seems to be so shiny already. So, I really don't want to ruin it by making it all dirty. So we'll leave that one. We'll leave that to 0. You can hit monochromatic. I don't think it's going to matter since we have white, but if you didn't have it, it might matter. So, okay, we'll hit OK. And then we've got these lights that look like they're kind of in the background. They're pretty cool looking. So after this, we're going to just make a duplicate of this. So hit Command or Control J. I'm working on a Mac, so everything I say is probably going to be like Command. But if you're on a Windows or, I don't know, Linux, it's probably going to be Control. But so Command J, and we can leave it as copy, or if you want, you can say reflection if you're going to get confused. So we hit Control or Command T. We just right click on this and say flip vertical. And we're going to set this layer here to screen so that we can see everything below it. Alright, so now it looks like we have sort of a reflection. It's not actually around the line, but that's just a guideline. This just kind of help us. Okay, so in fact, we can probably just hide this right now because we don't really need it anymore. So here, before we do anything, though, we have to hit enter or return so that flip will take. So now we can turn off this guide. I don't really need it. It's kind of distracting. All right, so that's that. And now we're going to duplicate this just once more. And so Command J once more. Now you're going to see it got a little brighter. All right, that's good. Now we're going to go to filter blur. This time we're going to go to a motion blur. And we're going to set this angle up at 90. Distance around 50 pixels. And this is going to be pretty faint. It's going to be kind of hard to see, and that is why we're going to make another copy of this if need be, which I think it does need to be. So we just duplicate it, and we're going to go down to our first big bokeh copy and just take the opacity down a little bit to around, say, 50% opacity. And I don't think I actually put this in the tutorial, but if we want, we can merge these two layers. So highlight them both.